How about that? It's another state video. It's been a while since I made one, hasn't it? Tell me what you really think about these things in the comments below, please. As promised during the Weird Al series I did, I'm going to go to New Mexico today. So what's so fascinating about the state that grows as it goes? What fascinating things can be discovered about the land of enchantment and the land of the most right angles along with borders? 8, actually. What about the state that makes the southeast corner of the Four Corners states would make you really want to visit? It's been a while, so I might just have to start the states again from where I left off. I'm not going to redo the ones I've already done. So grab yourself a plate of, and I know I'm going to mispronounce this, bizcochitos. Sit back, relax, and let's get started. Now, some might wonder about the new part in the state name. After all, just to the south is a bit older, and aside from what a certain ventriloquist puppet says, it's not because things are fresher there. When the area that is now called New Mexico belonged to the Spanish, they called it that because Mexico itself was already settled, so everything north of the Rio Grande became new. And then the fact of Texas and California coming out firmly against Mexican rule, things just started settling from there. People came in from what was then the United States, and as a result, all the area then called New Mexico was annexed by the fledgling country. You may have heard of the Mexican War, a little dust-up that won the area. The part with all the right angles and the straight areas to the south of Arizona and New Mexico were later added, but nobody wanted to have even newer Mexico, so they added them to the land area of the states already mentioned. In 1912, it was admitted as the 47th state, almost completing the overlay of the continental countries, and we've already discussed the first that wasn't in that area. You may have heard of a certain tourism spot in New Mexico, namely Carlsbad Cavern, but for this one we're not going to go that deep. Valles Caldera is where we're headed, and there's a very good reason why in another more well-known caldera volcano, also known as a supervolcano, many would know the name of Yellowstone, it's not the only one in the United States. Valles Caldera is the second of the 3 that exist in the U.S., and here's a surprise. I know that when most people think of New Mexico, they think of a dry, hot desert. In fact, I thought the same way until I saw an image of what the real landscape is like. And then I researched volcanic activity in the USA. There is, as with its cousin Caldera and Yellowstone, a wide variety of life and landscapes. It's good for those who want to hunt, fish, or just hike through a natural wonder, as it, as well as has many volcanic features that are a wonder to behold. The natural preserve that dominates the majority of the site was incorporated in 2000, making it one of the newest national parks in the country. This is really something to spice your eating experience up. As you can probably guess, many of the hot sauces produced in the country actually come from New Mexico and the surrounding areas. One of my favorites is exactly not from New Mexico. There's an entire family of chili peppers grown exclusively in New Mexico, though in the Hatch Valley. These hot chilies are named for it and are quite interestingly used often. But the hottest is the Rio Grande. Not the actual hottest, just the hottest from New Mexico. In fact, I would suggest you search chili challenges on YouTube after you're done with this video, of course, if you want to see more of it. Honestly, until I did the Weird Al series, I had no idea how to spell the name of this city, and it gets the spot here primarily for that spelling and because I promised to. This city, one of the most populated in the state, was likely named for the way it was due to the peculiar cork oak trees in the area that, after the bark is shaved back, is right in the middle. It's the home of University of New Mexico, Kirtland Air Force Base, and several labs for the quantum side of things. There are 3 natural borders to Albuquerque, but it continues to grow. Perhaps one of the often ignored mentions of this city, aside from the mention by Weird Al Yankovic's rather epic song, is the accusation in the Simpsons episode that wanted to move the Springfield isotopes from Springfield to Albuquerque. In fact, it would probably fit in there a lot better than Springfield, Oregon, given how much nuclear research goes on there. I bet you're a little surprised they didn't mention a certain ranch outside of Roswell, but aside from that one incident, it's not really that remarkable, so I'm alienating it. But who will be listed as a famous New Mexican? What person has made an impact on society that is associated with the state? Who will get the honor of being listed as an influential New Mexican? Many of us grew up with the works of this individual as an influential part of our lives. Yes, that Hannah. Born in Melrose, William worked several odd jobs during the early years, but when it became evident that he had a talent for drawing, he took a job at a fledgling animation studio, and even though he was never formally trained, he rose quickly through the ranks there. Enough that when a couple of guys who wanted their own animation studio broke away, he went to work for them in the seminal years of Looney Tunes. When MGM decided they wanted to work in-house and acquired the name, Hannah went with them, again rising in status. As head of animation, he shared an office with another animator, Joseph Barbera, and they hated each other immediately. No, just kidding. In 1939, they went to their own animation studio, and the rest, as they say, is history. It was in 1940 when their first animation came out to wonderful reviews. It was their initial characters of Tom and Jerry, who, of course, became animation icons. Others followed, including Yogi Bear, the Flintstones, the Jetsons, Scooby-Doo, and even some more modern works for the Cartoon Network you probably have heard of, namely Dexter's Lab and the Powerpuff Girls. I know there are a lot more, so please add to the list by writing them in the comments. Just keep on writing, I don't care how many are repeated. It's pretty obvious with all these things that the themes are often about how important family and friendship is. The two heads of the studio remained fast friends throughout their lives, clear up to Hannah's death in 2001. In tribute to his amazing accomplishments, Cartoon Network had a memorial 20-second clip. Other great animators had similar send-offs and memorials using the same formats. So, in closing, a very fitting word that, if it weren't for him and his partner in crime, would fall by the wayside, namely, psych! I'm sorry if it was a bad impersonation.
So that's it. I hope you enjoyed getting back into this state run, because, well, I did. Anyway, as usual, give the video a thumbs up. Put something in the comments there to give you a couple of ideas. Check out the links in the description. Video there, video there. Of course, subscribe, and if I can get my thumb pointed the right way, my social media links are there. And I guess we'll see you all next time.